Tonight, somewhere in the world, millions of people will sit down to eat, alone. No conversation, no shared table, just a screen, a fork, and the quiet that nobody chose. And nobody will think twice about it. Because eating alone has become so normal that we forgot it was ever strange. But here's what history knows that the modern world has forgotten. For almost the entire existence of your species, eating alone was not a habit, it was a punishment. Let's go back to before any of this existed, before the apartment, before the delivery app, before the kitchen you sometimes forget to use. For over 300,000 years, every meal your ancestors ate was shared. Not occasionally, not when it was convenient, every single time. Food was not just fuel in the ancient world. It was the event around which everything else was organized. The hunt, the gathering, the fire, the preparation, all of it was communal. All of it was together. When the food was ready, everyone stopped what they were doing and came. Anthropologist Richard Brigham at Harvard University spent years studying the relationship between cooking, eating, and human evolution. His findings were striking. The act of cooking together and eating together was not incidental to human development. It was central to it. The shared meal was where language deepened, where alliances formed, where children learned the values of the group without being taught them directly. The table was the original classroom, the original courthouse, the original therapy room, where humans processed the day together, where the sick were noticed, where the grieving were seen, where the lonely were pulled back into the warmth of the group. You could not fall through the cracks at a shared table. Someone would notice you weren't eating. Someone would ask what was wrong. The meal was not just nourishment for the body. It was a daily confirmation that you belonged somewhere, that you were known, that you were seen. Ancient Greece understood this better than almost any civilization that followed. A symposium, a shared meal and conversation that was considered one of the highest forms of human activity. Not because the food was special, but because the communion was. Plato wrote about the symposium not as a luxury, but as a necessity. A space where ideas were born, friendships were deepened, and a person could understand who they were through the eyes of others. The Romans built entire dining halls specifically so that no one in the empire's cities would have to eat alone. In medieval Europe, eating alone was considered a sign of something wrong. A person who regularly ate by themselves was either being punished, deeply mourning, or had been cast out from the community. Solitary eating was not privacy, it was exile. Now look at what we have built. In 2023, a study by the Food Foundation found that 1 in 4 adults in the United Kingdom regularly eats every meal alone. In the United States, more than half of all meals are now eaten in solitude. A survey by the University of Oxford found that people who eat with others regularly report higher levels of happiness, greater feelings of trust, and stronger connections to their community than those who eat alone. This is not surprising. What is surprising is how fast it happened. In 1900, the family meal was still the organizing structure of daily life in most households. By 2000, it had largely disappeared. In a single century, one of the most ancient and fundamental human rituals quietly vanished from most people's lives, and nobody declared it gone. Nobody held a funeral for it. It just slipped away between the shift work and the long commutes and the screens that made silence feel less empty. But the body noticed, because the body always notices. Research from Brigham Young University analyzed data from over 300,000 participants across multiple studies and found that social isolation carries the same health risk as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The same risk, not similar. The same. Loneliness raises cortisol levels. It disrupts sleep. It weakens the immune system. It accelerates cognitive decline. And the most consistent daily experience of connection for most of human history was the shared meal. Not the holiday, not the wedding, not the special occasion. The ordinary Tuesday evening. Someone passing the bread. Someone asking about your day. Someone sitting across from you who knew your face well enough to notice when something was different. That is what is gone. And we replaced it with a phone propped up against a glass, so the silence has something to fill it. Here is the part that no one talks about. Eating alone changes how you eat. Studies from the Cornell Food and Brand Lab found that people eating with others consume meals more slowly, chew more carefully, and report feeling more satisfied even when eating less food. The conversation forces pause. The pause allows the body to register fullness. Eating alone in front of a screen removes both the pause and the presence. You finish the meal and you are still waiting for something. Not more food. More of whatever the food was supposed to come with. The connection. The belonging. The simple warmth of someone across the table who knows your name. Your body ate, but something else is still hungry. And this is the quiet crisis of modern life that nobody names correctly. We call it anxiety. We call it emptiness. We call it restlessness. But a significant part of it is something far simpler and far older. You are a social species who is built to gather around food every single day. And most days, you don't. The loneliness epidemic is not a mystery. It has a table. And increasingly, that table is empty. Your great-grandmother did not eat alone. Her great-grandmother did not eat alone. Go back 1,000 generations, 10,000 generations, and not one of your ancestors sat in a quiet room staring at a screen while they ate. You are the first, not because you are broken, not because your generation failed, but because the world restructured itself around efficiency and convenience and forgot to ask what the meal was actually for. It was never just about the food. It was about the person across from you, the eye contact, the shared complaint about the day, the moment someone laughed so hard they had to put their fork down. Those moments were not decoration around the meal. They were the meal. The food was just the reason to sit down together. And somewhere in a part of you that is older than language, older than memory, older than anything you were taught, you already know this. You feel it every time you sit down to eat, and the silence is just a little heavier than it should be. That feeling is not weakness. It is 300,000 years of human memory, reminding you of what a meal was always supposed to be.